Okay, so last week we discussed the contemporary shilas related to milk and dairy, and Rav Asher Weiss's, critique of those who challenge the status quo of drinking milk. He doesn't name Rav Hershel Schachter, but Rav Hershel Schachter is someone who has raised the issue, and we discussed it last week, how Rav Asher Weiss, in a very interesting way, sort of explained how halacha and statistics are not the same. And the reason why I'm talking about the question of wearing Techeiles in today's day and age is because Rabbi Chaim Jachter, in his analysis of this debate between Rav Schachter and Rav Weiss about milk, and about how they interact with, I guess you could call it, new realities, new methodologies, and how we interact with sort of science and archaeology. Rabbi Jachter sort of put it all together and connected it to the way in which Rav Weiss approaches the question of Techeiles as well. And as you will see, clearly a different approach than Rav Schachter on both of these issues. They're very different issues, but you'll see sort of, this is part of what I find interesting about learning a few people's tshuvos. Our goal is to learn a different tshuva each week, but I'm hoping to we'll try to read them by the same authors, Rav Moshe Feinstein, Rav Asher Weiss, Rav Hershel Schachter, and try to get an appreciation of their overall approach. So together over the course of the year, we'll try to glean what we can to better appreciate the personality, the overall approach of the posek that we are dealing with. And I think, as of now, I'm very interested in Rav Asher Weiss, and I always take suggestions from the crowd as well. But that's why today we're going to be doing that's my notes. This is for you. No, it's okay. I'm not sure if I'm going to use my notes, but we'll see where we go with this. But today we're going to be, and again, Sheilos Utshuvas Minchas Asher, Chelek Sheni Simin Beis, B'Sheilas HaTecheiles B'Zman Hazeh. L'Sheilos Rabim V'Tovim B'Inyan Mitzvos HaTecheiles B'Zman Hazeh. To address the question of, the often asked question that many people are asking about of wearing the Techeiles in our day. So he says, Hineni lichtov es ha nirla anias daiti b'inyan nechbad zeh. I was asked to write my humble opinion, or I've decided to write my humble opinion in this important matter. Hine la'achrona toanim rabim. As of late, many people are claiming Shachilazan ha-purpura. Now, I gave a shiur on this whole topic a number of months ago. I think I actually maybe have given it in the Chabura Minyan. But Rav Herzog, Rav Yitzchak Isaac Herzog, just to give a little bit of background, he did his PhD dissertation on Techeiles, and he called it Semitic Porphyrology. So I don't know if that's what this term comes from, purpura. Purpura, I googled it a little bit around in modern Hebrew. I think it's purple dye. I don't know. It could be it comes from the same words as porphyrology. Rav Herzog in 1914, he was analyzing the Radziner Rebbe's Techeiles, which he believed came from cuttlefish. And Rav Herzog came to the conclusion that it was not actually accurate, but through Rav Herzog's research, and it later became clear that it was not cuttlefish, that led many scientists and archaeologists to reach a different conclusion, which is what most will tell you today in this camp. As you'll see, there are two camps, but the camp they basically call it the new, claim, we call it the new one, but it's hundreds of years. The cuttlefish was 100 years ago, over 100 years ago, but the new one they claim is called, the chilazon is what the Torah calls the chilazon, we'll see soon, but they call The Murex trunculus is what they argue is a kind of snail. That's what the chilazon is. What is the chilazon is really the $1 million question, or with inflation today, maybe it's the $7 million question. I don't know anymore. 6,400,000, or that used to be a big number. Now it's like whatever, $64 million question. So yes, what were you going to say, Stan?
But the Redziner Rebbe, didn't he develop a laboratory?
The Redziner Rebbe, he actually wrote many svarim on it.
Right.
I don't know the extent of his laboratory abilities. I know he went to Italy and he researched it. He came to the conclusion that it was the cuttlefish. But I think most would agree that that's not actually correct today. But because of his efforts and subsequently Rev Herzog's research, it led to the discovery of Murex trunculus. So he says today, that's what I just got to it because of the word porpora. So porphyry, I think it means dye. So what is Semitic porphyry? It means the biblical dye. What's the biblical dye that he's talking about? The Techeiles. So he says, this is the question that people are asking. And he, as Rav Weiss often does, he does a spoiler. He tells you right out the gate what his opinion is. He says, Lanias daiti, in my humble opinion, Lo ra'iti kol raya v'hechreach. I have not seen any good certain proof Shachin min zeh hu chilazon Techeiles, that this claim that they're arguing that the Murex trunculus is the chilazon. He says, I have not seen good proof for this. Kefi sheyivuar lahalan, like I will make clear further on. Rashis, first of all. Omer, Rashis Omer, I'm going to say first of all, Techol o lo nisbar birur gamor. First of all, I'll tell you, it is not abundantly clear. We don't have a clarity on whether we know what is Techeiles. And therefore, there's no obligation, and there's no mitzvah to wear this thing. Welcome. Just came from the Magin David Dome dinner. Mazel came here. Now we're told A.B. Rottenberg is coming.
We got the Orachaim.
Oh, really? Oh, Mazel. I saw your son-in-law and daughter at the Magin David Dome event.
Okay.
So we're just talking about Rav Asher Weiss, and his right out the gate tells us he doesn't believe that we have definitive proof that we know what the Techeiles is. And therefore, he says there's no obligation at all to wear Techeiles. V'yadua, not even a mitzvah. V'yodea ani sha'mitztadedim b'chidush ha-Techeiles. And I think what it means here is the supporters of the rediscovery of Techeiles. Tonim, he says, they say Dluye Safek, that at least it's a Safek. So he's getting right down to the question that most of us ask, which is, how can it hurt? Of course, Safek d'oraisa the Chumrah. If I have a doubt of a mitzvah, I should at least can't hurt. I have a chance. So if it's a 1% chance, whatever it is, at least I'll try to be mekayim the mitzvah if I can. As we know, there's two different mitzvahs. There's the white tzitzis, which is a mitzvah in itself. There's an additional mitzvah to wear Techeiles. You are yotzei a mitzvah of tzitzis without it, but it's much better, and it's a question of what exactly it is. It's a separate mitzvah, or is it part of it? But either way, is something that we're lacking without the Techeiles. And Rav Asher Weiss says to wear this new dye that they're claiming is the chilazon is not even a mitzvah. Yes, Jordan.
So, unlike kasher, there doesn't have to be a Masorah.
We'll get to that.
Knowing what this.
Yeah, we'll get
like.
to the Masorah question. Yeah.
Okay.
So he says. Ach be'emes. Oh, sorry. Lamalon achmir b'sfega d'oraisa. Why not be stringent and say, let's at least do it misafek? From at least we have a doubt. So the doubt is, if you have a doubt in the of a mitzvah d'oraisa, go ahead and do it. Ach be'emes ein l'tayna zu makom klal. There's no place for this type of argument. T'chisarin yedia lav sfekahu. could start to see a little bit of his approach similar to that which when he's discussing statistics and milk and all that. He says, okay, let's just be clear here. If you just put your head in a bag of what's it called, brown bag, and you close your eyes, I don't know, is this kosher or not? I don't know. That's not a suffix. That's just chisar yediyah. That's called you don't know. Not knowing, not every question that is not solved is called a suffix in halacha. We saw this last week. According to Rav Asher Weiss, even though statistically, if you were to check all of the cows after the fact, which again, big question that we tried to deal with somewhat last time, I check all of them and they find that statistically we have 20%, 30% of them are treifos. But how do we look at it? Is it a suffix? Okay, it's a suffix. How do we answer this question? We look at the animal in front of us and we go based on rov, and then we halachically decide that it is rov animals are kosher.
That's true. If I make tzitzis,
it is different. 100% it's different. Yes.
and they're all green.
Well, we'll get to the green question because we have sources that say Techeiles is actually green, which is going to be part of why Rav Asher Weiss says we have no idea what it is. And I should say this at the outset. This is not the definitive view. I pick a tshuva, find it interesting. I find it also just, my goal is to hopefully gain a greater appreciation of Rav Asher Weiss and his style. There are going to be other views, but he's really coming out strong and saying, this is not even a suffix. This is not even, like Eddie's saying, well, maybe it could be this dye, maybe it could be that dye. Like,
So let's say the mitzvah is to have.
You're right. The mitzvah is independent of the Techeiles. Yes, you are yotzei tzitzis without it.
And your yotzei, whether it's white or any other color.
But you're not yotzei Techeiles without Techeiles.
No. I understand.
Correct.
Tcheles,
Yes.
But the tzitzis can be any color, right? So if you make them all blue, okay.
If it's the wrong dye,
you might not get the mitzvah of Techeiles, but it'll still be okay. So I don't understand why he's so against it. In terms of against the argument of it's a suffix, so why not take a shot?
so let's see that he's starting to.
In other words, he doesn't like change to psak. Whatever it was, it should stay. So because no one was wearing Techeiles, you don't change. You don't have that psak.
You could simplify it in that regard and say the precedent, etc. But we'll see. He's going to have to poke holes in all of the arguments that the supporters of Techeiles today, which is the Murex Trunculus, he's going to poke holes in all of their arguments. And he's going to have to, for his argument to work, for this tshuva to work, he's going to have to say that every argument they make doesn't even reach the threshold of a suffix, which is a hard argument to make. It's similar, lahavdil a little bit. We'll see. This is lahavdil when it comes to beyond the reasonable doubt. In at least in American law, when I was in high school, we learned about this. You have to just prove that it's beyond the reasonable doubt in certain contexts, in certain areas of, was it civil law? No, in criminal law. In criminal law, Jerry, remind me. So that's with
beyond reasonable doubt.
Beyond reasonable doubt is criminal law when it comes to, is it not capital punishment?
No, any
crime.
Not civil.
Not civil.
The bar is much lower.
Yes, the bar is lower, but beyond the reasonable doubt. So he has to show that we don't even have a reasonable doubt over here in halacha, which is a strong position to take, but that's the position that he's taking. Ve'ein kol inyan lilvosh min misuyam mishum deshema. He says, and you can't. There's no idea, just like, like similar to what Eddie was saying. There's no idea that we should just put on any species of any dye because maybe this is it. Well, there's a 1 in a million chance. Pen ve'efshar Techeilesu. Maybe this is Techeiles. V'zeh pasha be'enai. You have to show me that this is more likely Techeiles than not. You can't just say, well, this is a dye. There's millions of dyes. It's the right color, so okay, maybe it is. He says that's not good enough. You have to show me that there's a reasonable argument here.
his argument can be used exactly the opposite way. In other words, if you prove something then is that it is a yediyah now, then the ball goes into his court. In other words, now he's saying that you can't paskin. In other words, the principle is going to be that we say the chisaron yediyah lav sveika.
Yeah.
You're absolutely. But now, if I
Once
can
you
prove
can get
this,
to right.
if I prove
Correct.
now that there is a
Correct.
fact on the ground,
Yes.
then what do you mean?
So every fact he's going to have to poke holes in it. But you're right. If you could get a reasonable, not to prove it definitively, but if you could get a reasonable suffix, that's the strongest argument in the pro Techeiles Bisman Hazeh camp, Rav Shechter and others. And by the way, there's other gedolim that in private we know Rav Belsky wore Techeiles, even though he didn't necessarily publicize it, but there are other people that are starting to wear it. In Eretz Yisrael, it's become much more popular. The best argument that they have is we don't know for sure. That's why my friend got very upset. He bought his. I have a good friend. He bought his Techeiles. He got the packaging and everything, and it says 100% genuine or authentic Techeiles. He's like, what? It's not 100%. Like, I'm buying it and I want it, but he said, like we hope it is, but it's not 100% authentic. Beyond
They believe it.
So they believe it. But the best argument, in my opinion, the best argument is that we don't know 100%, but we know that at least this is a 60% chance, a 70%, whatever you're going to say. It's a reasonable likelihood. So they just have to prove it's likely. They don't have to prove that it's definitive. That's what Laser, I think, what you're saying, which is that the bar is a little bit lower now that we're saying if you even say it's a suffix deraisa l'chumra. Suffix deraisa l'chumra is probably the best argument that you're going to make. But so he has to prove that every proof that they have is not good, and he's going to have to try to confuse us utterly and make us feel we don't really know what this thing is. So that's what he's going to try to do. V'hinei kasav Pri Megadim. Pri Megadim writes, this is in Hilchos Birkas Hamazon. He says, "Da'ad kol kan lo amru suffik Torah l'chumra, el b'makom she'al yidei shenachmir yikayim es hamitzvah b'vadai." He's talking about a whole discussion of certain cases where there's a shaila that's discussed in the how many brachos I have to make out of benching. Are certain brachos ma'akev zeh? Do we need both of them? It's a different discussion in halacha, but the Pri Megadim stakes out a position here, which is that if I don't know if I'm going to be yotzei a mitzvah, even after I do it, but I will not solve the problem, that's not called suffik daraisa l'chumra. He doesn't give this example, but I think it was in a previous year where we talked about this topic. It's in Rav Shechter's treatise on it, and I think it's discussed by other poskim as well. If, let's say, I don't know whether it's nighttime yet. I don't know whether it's nighttime yet. It's bein hashmashos, which is halachically a suffix. It's never solved. It's always a suffix. We don't know. It's twilight. It's between day. It's between night. So, by definition, this time period is a suffix. So, do I have a mitzvah, let's say, as Sukkot is going out, do I have a mitzvah to sit in the Sukkah? Do I make a bracha? So why don't I say, suffix daraisa l'chumra? It's a suffix. I don't know if it's Yom or Laila. During the night, it's no longer Sukkot. So I should have a mitzvah to make a leishiba Sukkah in the Sukkah. Or to shake Dalet Minim in the last moment of Hoshana Rabbah, whatever it would be that. So why don't I just say, suffix daraisa l'chumra? No, I don't say suffix daraisa l'chumra. Rav Shechter shows that the Ran holds you do, but I'm just trying to give it as an example of what he's saying here. You don't say suffix daraisa l'chumra when you do the action, you'll never solve the suffix. Suffix daraisa l'chumra is, well, I don't know if I was yotzei the mitzvah, so I'll do it again to make sure that I'm yotzei. Well, then you know you were yotzei. But in this case, if you go ahead and make a leishiv or you shake lulav or whatever, you'll never know, halachically, you'll never know if it was Yom or Laila, because it's always a suffix. So when you put on the Techeiles, it doesn't clarify for you, I've solved the suffix. Now I know. No, it's still a suffix, even when you put on the tefillah. So that's what he's drawing from this Pri Megadim, that we don't say suffix daraisa l'chumra if you're not mevara the suffix. You haven't solved the question. You haven't been poshet the shaila. Right? Okay. Ulishitaso, af im yeh bezeh suffix gamor. Even if you had a suffix, ein sarach lahachmir. So he's kind of cutting at this at two different directions. Number one, he says, just not knowing that's not called a suffix. And even if you tell me it's a suffix, you can't apply the principle of suffix daraisa l'chumra because you never solve the suffix. You remain with the suffix. Okay. Ach devarav divrei chidush gam b'svara. This is a very mechudash type of thing, a very innovative type of logic. The gam ein mashma kidvar b'orchaim simin tov kuf tzadi gimel sif beis. He says it's not even clear that the Shulchan Aruch rules this way. Why? Because let's say mevurd im eino yodeh l'tkoa elasider ach echad mitashra tasha tara. Let's say the Baal Tokeh on Rosh Hashanah, he only knows how to do one. We do the three different kinds, right? We have the question is, what's the trua? Is the trua do, or is it or is it both together? Shvarim trua do. So we do all three. So he says, let's say the Baal Tokeh, for whatever reason, he only knows one. He had a bad teacher. He only knew one. So does he go ahead and do all three sets? So he says, Tzarich L'tkoa. He has to go and do it. Ubebeis Yosef hevi halacha zomi arash v'aran shekotz the tzarich l'tkoa shemi yotze dechavotze b'seder zeh. He goes ahead and he does it because maybe, even though he only knows one, he goes ahead and blows. Well, maybe we weren't Yotze in this. We never solved the suffix because we'll never know unless Eliyahu Hanavi comes and tells us which one it is. But we don't know halacha l'maaseh today. We don't know which one is it. But he goes ahead and he still blows. So Rav Asher Weiss is actually rejecting this Pri Megadim and saying we see clearly from the Rosh, from the Ran and the Beis Yosef and the Shulchan Aruch that he goes in and blows. So harei diyish lahachmir b'savik daraitza ab b'mogam shesavik im yatza gam kishiyachmir. We are machmir of savik daraitza l'chomer even when you don't know if you're Yotze. We're machmir even if we don't know that you are Yotze. Okay. Yeah.
If it comes that you forgot to put on tefillin one day, you're saying that you shouldn't put it on ben hashmashos with a bracha.
That is an interesting question. I don't know what we do. What we actually say halacha l'maaseh. I imagine you would. I have to look it up, but I'd imagine you would because the fact that Laila is not zman tefillin is.
Oh, you're saying you bring another reason.
Yeah, I think wearing tefillin during the night is not as problematic as, let's say, shaking a lulav and making a bracha on the lulav. I'd have to look that up, but I believe there's a reason why we don't wear it at night. I'd have to look it up. But the point is that the Ran and the Rosh and the Beis Yosef quoting it and the Shulchan Aruch seem to go against this Pri Megadim that even when you aren't posted the Shaila, even when you don't know that you were Yotze because it's by definition a Savi because the guy only knows a Tashat or a Tarah, he only knows that one way to blow, but he still blows, we see that we go ahead and we do it even though he doesn't actually say to make a bracha. I'm assuming you make the bracha. You do it even though you don't know you're Yotze. So seemingly we do say Safik Toraisa Lo Hachmir even when you haven't been posted the Shaila. He says, look at what the Sheilos Techeiles Gur Ari Yehuda says. Shahagon Rab Menachem Zemba. I would add in the words Hashem Yikom Damo. He was killed in the Warsaw Ghetto. One of the great Gaonim. We have the Totzos Chaim but we really have. So we've such a great loss. We don't. He was an incredible gaon. Okay. Ach bezeh, ach be'emes, benidon didan, ein kan savig mugdar klal. So he's got to go back to his original argument. He said, you can't say savig daraisa l'chumra even when you're not supposed to the shiloh because we don't pass like that prima gadim. So now he's got to go back to his original argument, which was that it's not even a suffix, because if it is a suffix, then you have to do it. Ulugufan shel dvarim nira de acharei. I'm sorry. We're never going to say that we're machmir on this shiloh. Ulugufan shel dvarim nira de acharei meo b'shanim she'inyan hatchilas ne'ela miyadiyasenu. He says, for hundreds of years, or for over 100 years, we didn't know the concept of Techeiles was hidden from our eyes. I don't know why he says Achrei Meos B'Shanim. It's more than 100 years. I don't know. Maybe that's a phrase. Achrei Meos B'Shanim. Hundreds of years. Ein kol efsharos lekvoa heim mashin nimtzahu hu hachilazon shmimenu hafikol Techeiles. It's not possible. We don't have the ability to, we lost the knowledge of the ability to produce the Techeiles, to bring it out from the chilazon. To halom atzidon simanim shonim b'divrei chazal v'harishonim b'mohos chilazon zeh. Because at the end of the day, we find different signs, different hints to what the chilazon is, and the Rishonim in what it actually is. B'menachos mem daled amid aleph. It says in the Gemara Menachos amru chilazon zeh gufa dom liyam. It says that the chilazon is similar to the sea. Ubriyaso dom l'dag, and its form resembles a fish. Ve'ola echad l'shivim shana, and it only emerges once in 70 years. Ubedamo sov in matchilas, and with its blood you make Techeiles. Uberashi perish shema areu domim liam v'tavniso dom l'dag. Like we said, its figure looks like the sea, and its composition looks like a fish. Some of the Rishonim refer to as a worm. So on the one hand, we have that it's supposed to look like a fish. Others say it looks like a worm. Some say it looks like the sea. The Rambam writes in Ilchas Tzitzis, he talks about the way to produce the Techeiles. Mevi'en dag hakilazon v'hu dag shedome eino ke'in hayam. He says, in his description of how you make the Techeiles, he says that you bring the Techeiles, the blood of the chilazon, and he sort of almost as like an aside, he says that its eye looks like the yam. Very interesting. Its color is like that of the sea. Somehow its eye looks like the sea. Okay. Then he writes something that everyone's confused by. Vidamo shachor kidyo. Its blood looks like black ink. Very, very confusing, because nobody has produced any dye that at any point during the dyeing process looks like black dye, like black ink. It's not at all found. To the point where I saw some of the other poskim, they questioned, where did the Rambam get this from? Okay. And it's found in the Yam HaMelech, which is also not
fish.
Yeah, it's another thing. What is he talking about? the Rambam didn't live near the Yam HaMelech, so he's reading things, he's getting some sort of tradition. What's he talking about exactly?
Wasn't it also found within the borders of one of the Shvatim, which is what
Yes.
is on the Mediterranean?
Yes. Yes.
Svune Tumune Chol.
Yes, we're going to get there.
Torah says Svune Tumune Chol. Right? So I think it's God. What's that? So Svune Tumune Chol is that it's buried under there, and that's where they have their thing. So that's the coast of near Tyre.
Here, I have this little map if you want to take a look. If you want to see, this is not where the Dead Sea is. It's off the coast. This is where the Myrix Techeiles is found, near Tyre, off the coast of the Mediterranean, north of Haifa. So, very, very again, it's not clear what the Rambam's talking about. Ha-purpura eino dag. Again, I think the porphyra is referring to the Myrix Techeiles, but I still don't really know what the modern Hebrew. I think we said it's porphology or porphyra. Porphyra is the dye. It's not a fish. The eino domila dag. This Myrix Techeiles doesn't look like a fish. It's a snail.
I'm going to look it up. I have a full volume Hebrew dictionary.
Porphyra.
I'm going to look up.
Okay.
Porphyra.
Okay.
Bothers me.
The gam eino domila tolas. It doesn't look like a worm either. Ein eino ve'ein mareu domila yam. Its eye and its image does not look like the yam. I'm just looking because I looked at the Rambam. I put it on my notes, but I don't see this line that he's quoted from the Rambam. That's why I keep pausing when I'm reading it. It's in Hilchos Tzitzis Beis. I don't see him say that the ayin looks like the Dag Shedome Eino Le'ein HaTecheiles. That's what it writes in the text that I have from the Rambam. What does it mean Eino Ke'ein HaTecheiles? I don't know. I don't really know what it means. Ke'eno means like it is similar to it. Something like that. Okay. But it definitely does not look like a worm. And certainly the dam does not look black. Right? Shakuf. It's transparent at some point. And you dye it, and then it gets to be eventually bluish color. It's another. By the way, you're not using the blood at all. Ella binuzal mafikim mibluta shebegufo. It's these secretions that you're using in its body. It's not. You're not utilizing the blood. So why does the Gemara refer to it, or the Rambam as well, with the dam, the blood of it? You're not using the blood. And it's not found in the Yam HaMelech, ela b'Yam HaTichon, as we pointed out in that other place where they find the Myrix Techeiles by Tyre. It's not found in the Yam HaMelech. So where's the Rambam coming from? So he has an explanation. He quotes some different achronim, but we're not going to get into that. Okay. And it also doesn't come up once every 70 years. Now, once in every 70 years, we mentioned this in the shir months ago. It could just mean it's very rare. It could just mean what it's saying, but he doesn't like that. Beyond that, it's okay. You're not going to say it's exact, but it says only once in every 70 years. He says, look at what it says in Baba Metzia. Rashi says, he quotes a Rashi there. Why is it so expensive? We see clearly that from all the different signs and seeming hints and whatever, like mysterious, put them all together, and the Rambam as well. Ein afilu siman echad hamatim lepurpura. You don't have even one thing that's similar to the purpura. Now, he leaves out the other Gemara that I think Laser was quoting, and other sources, he leaves that out. There's Gemara in Shabbos. It says that you find it in the area of Tsur, between Tsur and Haifa, which is between Tyre and Haifa. He leaves that out, but what I think what he's trying to show is that it's not so clear what it is. There's the evidence is mixed. There's contradicting evidence. I see that there are those that try to, they push for this. Oh wow, it's getting late. Okay, I don't think we're going to finish the tshuva. Have to do tshuva on that. Okay. Maybe we'll pick up next time. But he says, I see those that try to force this. They push this thing so far as if almost to say there's like a heavenly voice coming out from Shamayim. It's like a divine prophecy. It's like a mystical thing that this is the porphyra, this is the chilazon. Until the point where we are somehow obligated to push into the sort of go beyond what we would have generally done with these crooked and backwards ways to try to fulfill this baskol.
Is there a separate bracha if you were Techeiles? Okay, so there's no separate bracha. So what is the
downside?
What's the Easter if you were Techeiles? Like, what does he say there's an Easter to wear it?
There are those that say he in this tshuva does not say that there's an Isser. It could be he has like 4 or 5 tshuvas. So I said to Howie when we were starting that because he was saying he doesn't want it to change and then he's just gonna. And I said, well, it can't be simple if he writes 4 or 5 times about the same topic. So obviously there's it's more it's not an open shut type of case. There are those that say that there's an Isser of Baal Tosef potentially. There are those in our city. Rav Shlomo Miller has a tshuva that there is something called Kala Ilan. This is what the Gemara talks about. Kala Ilan, which is counterfeit, which is very bad. He says, Al Pi Kabbalah, it's very bad.
No, the Gemara says you get cursed.
Oh, you got cursed.
You get cursed. So the people that were trading in this Kala Ilan. So it's usher. The Gemara says already it's usher.
The Gemara says
so
usher.
someone now is peddling this as saying that this is the Techeiles.
They had
100%
counterfeit Techeiles peddlers even back then.
Absolutely, it was very profitable.
Yes.
But
okay, so I didn't know that. So the Gemara says that you're cursed.
I'm almost sure. I'm almost sure.
I don't know, but there's for sure something.
With the packaging that he's saying, 100%. So I would understand that in that case, but if somebody
That they're
says,
advertising as 100%.
right. No question, in my understanding. But if somebody puts down and says, with our research, this is what we
The best we got.
You're not fooling anybody. You're not.
The traditional way to separate out the fake is that you put it through a detergent, and the detergent will take out anything but true Techeiles. So this is how they support this idea, right? In other words, any of the other fake, right?
Right. I don't know how to. But the Techeiles now, you try to get it out. It stays. It stays very very strongly.
You can put it through bleach. Yeah, because that's the difference between the fake, So, but if you're selling it as the fake, that is what they would say.
So he says here, Haloha maskana hapshutahi. The simple conclusion is dechol od lo matzanu min hachilazon haunel simanim shnimsa b'chazal b'Rambam. The real conclusion is we have not yet found the chilazon that can answer all of the different simanim that are found in the Chazal and in the Rambam. Adayan lo matzanu as chilazon Techeiles. And listen, he's not the only opinion, as I mentioned, but it's just an interesting thing. I don't know if we'll have time to finish the whole tshuva, but I wanted to show you an interesting I gave a shir on this a few months ago, and somebody wrote to me, Ari Greenspan, who is very involved in the whole ASEC of Techeiles, and he says this was a picture of Rabbi Lamb on the steps of my dental office, brought to me by Rabbi Tendler, who's standing on the stairs, and Baruch Sturman demonstrating the dying process. So you can see, you can't see Rabbi Tendler's face, but this is Rabbi Tendler, and that's Rabbi Norman Lamb, and I believe this is Baruch Sturman showing him the process of Techeiles in the 80s or so.
That's Rav Shechter's writing.
And that's Rav Shechter's letter to exactly, you can tell Rav Shechter's handwriting a mile away. That's his handwriting to support the Techeiles. I just feel like Marv's going to start here in a moment, so I don't want to go further in, but we haven't yet finished the topic, even in his Teshuva, so maybe we'll pick up with it next week. As of now, he's saying there's lots of proofs, and he's not feeling that we've satisfactorily addressed these proofs, and he has to say that it's not even a suffix, which is really what Howie's saying. Oh, come on, it's got to be at least something, right?
I'm not saying any opinion on this.
Yeah. But he has a high bar that he has to reach, because he's got to say that it's not even a suffix. That's what he's got to prove. Because if it's a suffix arises to the chumrah, and he's not going with the Pri Megadim. The Pri Megadim that said, well, if it's not poshet the suffix, it doesn't solve the issue. It's not a suffix that arises to the chumrah. He rejected that from his braya from the shofar. So we do sveikos that we don't solve. So why don't we just put it on? Be suffix. Okay, we'll hold it over here. Shkarach Rabosai, and we'll continue.